Sometimes the biggest ideas, the ones about who we are and the choices that define us, they don't come from some textbook. Nope. They come from a single story. So today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to explore identity and strength through the eyes of a young woman named Amina and a choice she makes every single morning. So, our story starts in that quiet time, just before the sun is really up. There's this young woman, Amina, and she's just standing by her window watching the day begin. The world outside is just soft and full of potential, kind of like a mirror of how she's feeling. All right, so this brings us to the first part of her story. It's all about a daily ritual, an act that, for Amina, is super personal and really sets the tone for her whole day. What she's holding is her hijab. And look, it's not just any piece of cloth. The story describes it as this deep blue, the exact color of the ocean just before dawn. And for Amina, putting it on, well, it isn't some obligation. It's a conscious, personal choice she makes every single day. And this idea, this whole foundation of her choice, it actually comes from her mother. Powerful advice, right? This one sentence is really the core of her entire story, that our choices have real power, and that power is what builds our inner strength. But, of course, the moment a personal choice becomes visible, the world has something to say about it. And this is exactly where Amina's internal sense of who she is starts to bump up against how other people see her. At school, Amina runs into this challenge that I think a lot of people can relate to in their own way. She's seen as a symbol before she's seen as a person. I mean, her love for books, her kind personality, the fact that she's great at math, all of that stuff just fades into the background. The first thing people see is the scarf. And this really captures the two sides of her life, doesn't it? You've got the heavy days, weighed down by stares and misunderstanding, even some unkindness. But then, and this is so important, there are the brighter days, the days filled with a friend's laugh or a teacher who's genuinely interested in her ideas. Those are the moments that remind her of the confidence her choice actually brings. So all of this back and forth with the outside world, it all builds to the story's climax. It comes down to one pivotal moment, a single question where Amina has to define her choice, not really for others, but for herself. The setting couldn't be more ordinary, just a windy afternoon at a bus stop. But a moment of pure, unfiltered curiosity from a little kid is about to change everything for her. And there's the question, so direct, so innocent. Why do you wear that? It's a question she's probably seen in the eyes of so many people, but hearing it said out loud so plainly, well, it forces a real moment of truth. And her answer? This is the turning point. She doesn't give some complicated explanation. She just kneels down and answers straight from the heart. It's about her identity, and it's about strength. And you realize, in that moment, she isn't just explaining it to the little girl. She's really, truly defining it for herself. This simple little exchange kicks off this huge internal shift for Amina. She starts to see her hijab not through everyone else's eyes, but purely through her own. Later that evening, as she's folding her scarf, she's thinking about that moment at the bus stop. And she realizes that the simple act of explaining her choice has somehow made its power inside her even stronger. Something's definitely changed. Her realization kinda comes in a flood. First, it hits her. Despite what anyone might think, the hijab had never, ever taken away her voice. And then she thinks, you know what? It never hid her either. It wasn't a mask for her personality or her spirit. Not at all. In fact, it had done the exact opposite. It had created this space for her to define herself on her own terms, a space to grow into the person she wanted to be, strong and so clear in her identity. And that's how the story ends, right back where it began, Amina at her window. But wow, is everything different now? That soft, hazy sky from the first morning, now it's bright and it's certain. And that is a perfect reflection of her own newfound confidence. So yeah, Amina's story is about a hijab, but the message is for everyone, really. It leaves us with a pretty big question to think about for ourselves. What are the choices we make, the symbols we might wear, or the little rituals we practice that remind us of who we are and give us the strength to be that person out in the world? Something to think about.